Choosing a niche does not mean working exclusively within one single industry. That's only one of the methods of niching down. You can also utilize your influence and personality. You can create a unique combination of skills that set you apart, and you can even start So choosing a niche basically means that you're going to select a small realm over which you are going to become the go-to expert. Now, by doing this, you're going to be able to get in front of more prospects with less noise or competition in the marketplace. And it's going to make it much easier for you to grow and scale your business. So a good example of this is if you're a web designer, why start competing with every single web designer in the world when instead you could position yourself to only compete with web designers in the state of Idaho who service local pediatric dentists. You can see that by getting specific like this, it's going to make it much easier for you to stand out. And not only that, but your message is going to resonate with your prospects much, much better. And so it's going to be easier to sell your prospects, and it's going to be much easier to charge higher rates. Now, a big worry people have is, okay, Payton, if I select a niche, is this going to exclude people or turn other people away that don't fit that niche? And the answer is no. If people don't fit your niche, they're still going to reach out if you're good at what you do. And a question that you might ask yourself is your pipeline totally full? Because if you're generalizing in everything, and your pipeline is full, maybe you don't need to niche down. But if you're not getting as many clients as you want, it's probably because you haven't niched down. And so by doing that, you're going to be able to find more better clients, and you're still going to get those extras that don't fit that niche that reach out and want to work with you. Now, with that said, at some point of your business, you're going to want to start working more exclusively within that niche. And there are a number of reasons for that. First off, is the one that I learned the hard way, and that is if you're trying to service too many different people in too many different industries with too many different tools, it gets very, very hard to manage and almost impossible to scale. So by sticking within the bounds of a niche, you're going to make it much easier to sell prospects because you have a process. You're going to be able to kind of consolidate and make your pricing very clear. You're going to be able to systematize everything, and you're going to get better at knowing the results that will come from working with you, which will help with case studies, word of mouth referrals. And so it's much easier to build your business exponentially if you stick within your one single niche or realm that you do best. Now, I want to share with you a couple different really good examples of individual freelancers and agencies who have niched down really well, and as a result, they have made tons of money and they've made a huge impact in the marketplace. But first, we need to understand the common misconception that niching down or choosing a niche means I'm going to select a specific industry, right? So I have to be a web designer for HVAC companies or for pest control companies or for large B2B companies. And this is only one method of niching down or choosing a niche, and people forget all of the other ways that you can go about this in order to set yourself apart and become an expert in your own realm. And so we're going to dive in, and I'm going to share with you these really powerful examples that are hopefully going to spark some ideas in you so you can select your niche and start growing and scaling your business. So one of the first ways that you can niche down is by focusing on one specific expertise that you are just incredible at, that you're the best that there is within that one specific expertise or skill or talent. And one of the best examples of this is FinSuite. Now, FinSuite is a Webflow development agency, and they're one of the best out there. If you don't know Webflow or you haven't heard of FinSuite, you should visit their website because their message and everything that they do is directed towards one purpose, and that is built around Webflow and developing Webflow sites. Now, one thing that I found very interesting about FinSuite is just a couple months ago, they even offered web design services, and they changed that to where they only offer Webflow development services. And it's because that is what they did best, and they found that by offering design services, that was a bottleneck. And so I'm sure that was a scary decision for them to no longer offer design services. But by doing this, they were able to niche down and become the number one go-to experts, wizards at all things Webflow and Webflow development. And this has served them very well. as they are a massive agency and everybody within the Webflow community knows about FinSuite. The next option, which is the most common, is choosing an industry in which you want to work. And a really good example of this is an agency called Nifty Marketing, which is actually out of Idaho. And they service specifically law firms, and they don't do anything else. Now, I've followed Nifty and I visited their website over the past 3 or 4 years. And I found that just within those past years, they started excluding other, industries like doctors or dentists, and they have narrowed in just on law firms alone. And this is a really great example of them basically unifying their message and having one particular potential prospect that they're going after. They have a very specific message. They have very specific case studies. And they are building their brand within the legal industry, the legal world, so that it's easier for them to get referrals. It's easier for them to meet prospects. It's easier for them to focus their marketing efforts. And I know that they visit different like local get-togethers and different conventions. And by servicing one specific industry, you can be very, very exact on what you need to do to get in front of the right people. So this is a great example of an industry-specific niche. The third way to niche down is actually what my business does, and that is selecting a unique combination of skills. Now, this is something that I think often gets overlooked, and I have people ask me a lot, well, Payton, what is your niche? Like, what industry do you work with? And the answer is we work with all sorts of different businesses. Over time, we have found the types of industries that we prefer to work with, but our combination of Webflow to design and develop our websites and then SEO has set us apart and has made it really, really easy to find new clients. And the reason is Webflow does all of the marketing for us, and people determine, okay, I want to use Webflow, but either I need to migrate my old website over or I need to develop a site in Webflow, and then we need to rank it organically on the search engines. And so inevitably they find our content, they find our listings, they find our website, and they feel that we are a perfect solution for them because they love the fact that they have a one-stop shop, right? They don't have to hire a Webflow developer and then go hire a different SEO team, but they have everything all in one. And so by grouping a unique set of skills, you're going to be able to set yourself apart and become unique. So think about this. If you are just a web designer, it might be worth adding a different skill, adding an additional service that goes hand in hand with your web design services and allows you to stand out from other general web designers. Now, the next method that I want to share of niching down is actually a good friend of mine that I've met through work and through the Webflow community, and that is John D. Saunders. And what he does best, even though he does a lot of things great, is he utilizes his personality and his influence to establish a brand that sets him apart. Now, I admire a lot of things that John does, but if you visit any of his social media channels, his Instagram, his YouTube, he does a great job of basically sharing his personality and getting people to want to work with him because he is John D. Saunders. And so a lot of you might be in a position where you don't necessarily know what industry you want to niche down in, or you don't know what specific service combination you want to utilize. At the very least, start using your personality and your social media presence to start building a niche, which is basically just you. You're your niche. Your followers are your tribe and your community. And this is a really effective way to get people to want to work with you. So go check out John's stuff because he is a great example of using influence and personality to establish your niche. The fifth method that you can use for niching down is utilizing location. Much like the example that I shared earlier on in this video, you can focus specifically on your local area, your city, even a state, which may be more difficult. But by starting with a location, it's going to be much easier for you to compete. And I would recommend you look into different methods of local SEO to get your service or your business ranking on a local level, because this is a great way to get the ball rolling. This is actually what my agency started out doing. Is we originally were just an Idaho Falls web design agency. And while this was still a very general service, because we were focusing on a small town of Idaho Falls, it made it much easier for us to get traction because a lot of people were searching for the keywords web designer in Idaho Falls, and they wanted to work exclusively with somebody that was local. And so location is a great place to start when you're niching down and getting your business rolling. Now, the final way that you can set yourself apart, and this veers off a little bit and it may not classify as niching down, but having a unique set of sales skills is one of the best way to establish yourself as different than anybody else. And when it comes down to it, that's all niching is making sure that you can set yourself apart from everybody else and become an expert. And sales skills is probably the best way to set yourself apart. And by developing sales skills, you are going to become a more impressive option than all of the other web designers, freelancers out there. Because when you get on the phone with people, when you create content, there's going to be that it factor where people, they notice you, they feel more comfortable with you, you are able to more clearly share your message, and people are going to prefer to work with you and they're going to choose you over others. And so simply by, again, using your influence and your reputation and your personality and becoming a good salesman, it's going to make up for your lack of niching down because you're going to be so good at standing out. And so at the end of the day, all this is just standing out from everybody else, becoming the best option. And so if you ever feel like, man, I'm getting leads, but these clients are choosing other options, whether they're cheaper options or they prefer to work with a big agency, the reason that's happening to you is because you're not establishing your sales skills and you're not setting yourself apart from everybody else. And so by doing this, again, it's another layer of niching down that you can get, another level of expertise that's going to set you apart and allow you to land more clients with less competition. So now I want you to comment below, what is your niche and what realm have you been working in that has made you successful? And if you don't have a niche or have yet to select one, look at the comments down below and get some ideas from other people that have watched this video, or you can comment a couple ideas of niches that you're considering, and I'd be happy to review those and give you my opinion on which might be best to help you reach that next level. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.